Welcome to You Can't Handle the Truth, where we dive into the real, raw truths about health, wellness, and self-growth. I am your Real Talk guru and your rebel healer, here to cut through the noise and dig deep into mental, physical, and spiritual health, uncovering the truths many aren't ready to confront. But we're going to do that together. Welcome to today's episode of You Can't Handle the Truth. My name is Natalie, and we're going to get right into this topic. Oh, yes. How do you find yourself again after 40? And I decided to talk about this topic today because it seems it's like it's a recurring theme, right? I have two ladies that wrote separately, and one wrote, I'm lost, I'm 40 and I'm lost in life. And so I just want to start off by saying that we are never lost in life. We sometimes get caught up in the lives of others and forget ourselves. And so we just need to come back to self. But guess what? You're not lost. You're not lost. And you know what? You can get back to self. So I'm going to read the questions that they ask, and then we'll get right into this, because guess what? This is a truth that us ladies need to speak about, because we are, when you talk about living authentically, right? That is about finding your truth. And so often it's not you that's lost, it's your truth that's lost. It's your authenticity that's lost, because we are so hyper focused on taking care of everyone else, being a wife, being a mother. And those things come with taking on other people's hobbies, right? Like our kids' hobbies, so we can push them, and because we want them to be productive members of society. And that's if you have children. It doesn't even have to be that. It could even just be being a spouse or someone's partner, or being someone's friend or someone's daughter, because there are these expectations. And I think I've done one other video about this, but it seems to be a recurring theme. And what's really interesting to me is what this made me think of, right? That I had not thought of before, is how I am now. I just turned 55, and probably into my mid 40s, I started to realize I don't really care about football. I will enjoy a good football game, right? But I'm not gung-ho worried about football season, who's playing. And at one time I thought I was into that, right? But what I realized as I stepped into my truth and figured out what was true for me and what was not, was that my boys played football. My oldest one played through college. And so in support of him, I learned to like the sport. I learned to sort of enjoy the sport because I wanted to see him succeed. But once he was out of college and no longer playing, I could take it or leave it. And so now, when my husband, who still loves football, watches football, I'm really not into it. It's not my thing. I have gone back to the things that I love to do. I have gone back and figured out what my hobbies are, what things that I love to do. And so if there's one thing that I want to share with you before I get into this question, that read what this lady has to say about this topic, about how do you find yourself again after 40, is that you are to begin doing that. I think you have to step into back into your hobbies. What do you like to do? Do you like to talk? That's why I started this channel. This channel, starting this channel in particular, I have the podcast, I have, my regular content that I make, and I have some other channels that I've created since I started this. And I started this channel about 7 years ago. And the reason being that I found that I would go places and talk to people, and I would get cut off a lot, right? Like, people would cut me off, and I was like, why are they, why isn't anyone listening? And when I started talking, when I started coming on here and bringing on my opinion, saying what I think, I realized that I had trouble interacting and saying what I think, because I had to think about what I had been told. And then, because this is my platform, I had to think about, well, those things, those concepts that I was raised with, do those belong to me? Are those things I truly believe? And sometimes the answer was yes, and sometimes the answer was no. So I think that we have to start by going back to self and figuring out what it is that we like. Maybe I'm not saying that everybody has to get a platform, because being on a public platform is not for everyone. But if there's somewhere that you can come and find out what you like and step into yourself again, like find yourself again, so to speak, I think this is it. So even turning on a camera, even if you never make those videos public, I think it's awesome, because just because you have a YouTube channel, you don't have to make those videos public, but you will start to gain confidence in your thoughts. You'll be able to work out what you think, what thoughts are really yours, because there's so many thoughts that we have and so many things that we think we love, which are actually things that we've been taught or told that we should love. And there's a difference. There's a huge difference between what you're told you should love and what you actually love, and the things that you love to do, and the things that fill your heart. And it's not like you hate those things. It's just that those things don't warm your heart. Those things don't make you feel whole. Those things, like football, thinking about football doesn't make me want to get up in the morning and go run and see what the stats are, right? For some of you out there, you may love football, and that may be the thing that gets you up and gets you motivated in the morning. It's like, what is your purpose? What is your purpose? That's the thing, because sometimes we get our purpose muddled up with someone else's purpose, right? What they love, what they want, what they are aspiring to. What do you aspire to? And that could be something as simple as, are you, do you want a bigger home? Let's say, right? You want a bigger home. And you're currently in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, but you want something bigger. You want a 4,000 square foot home. You want a 5,000 square foot home. Well, that's something, if you really want, and that's part of your purpose, right? And you want that home in Tennessee on the mountaintop, right? That's going to give you purpose, because every morning you're going to get up and you're going to work towards that. And if you don't have enough money, even if you hate your job, you're going to want to get up in the morning and go do that job so you can buy that home and figure it out. You're going to figure out how to finance that home. You're going to be getting up in the morning and planning trips to go to Tennessee mountaintops to look at homes that are suitable to you. Do you see what I mean? Like something that gets you that gets your juices flowing, that gets your energy up, that makes you want to live, right? Because the problem with living vicariously through someone else is that it's, at the end of the day, it's their dream. And even though you care for the person and you want to see them succeed, people shift. And those people that you're supporting, their dreams and their needs will also shift through life. So you can't constantly shift yourself to like what they like. And so you eventually do get to that point, usually around this time in your 40s, where you're just like, okay, enough is enough. What do I like? What do I want? And sometimes it takes a minute to sort that out. And that's okay. It's really okay. Sometimes you're going to try a few different things, right? Like I've tried, if you go back, and I leave all my videos up on this channel, because it's really interesting to me. Like I've tried different things. I've tried different formats. I've tried different topics, right? What do I really want? What makes me want to get up and come out here and talk to you? And it's not every topic that I'm interested in, right? So I had to figure out what I'm interested in. Of course, what you're interested in, but I can't just come out here and talk to you about something just because you're interested. I had to be interested first, right? And then figure out who I'm talking to. So it's a beautiful kind of revelation that happens. So as sad as it can be, where you're getting up and you're looking at other people and you're like, well, why are they living in their purpose and I'm not? Why do they seem to have what they want and I'm not? Let me tell you something about that. Don't compare yourself to other people, because a lot of people on the outside, they look like they have it together, but they haven't figured it out yet. And, one other thing I can say about this subject is be vulnerable, right? Find other women like yourself. Don't pretend that you figured it out. I'm still figuring it out. That's why I'm here, because I'm still, one day at a time, I'm figuring it out. And I come and I talk to you about these topics because I feel like, wow, this really resonates with me. And are there parts of me that still need to shift a little bit more? Because you get a lot more, when you realize that when you realize that you have found yourself again, so to speak. And I don't believe we ever lose ourselves. I just think that we just step into other people's purpose and we don't have our own sometimes, because we're so deep into everyone's purpose, and sometimes it starts to feel like that's our purpose, but in reality it's not, because that thing is not exciting us enough to want to get out of bed in the morning. And so it's when you start to have that feeling, that's when right? When you start to feel alive again, that's when you know that you've stepped into your purpose, that you have something that you want to get up for in the morning. And sometimes that gets lost, especially for those of us, and I know not everyone has children, but that we get lost in our children, because many of us, we do. When you have kids, you have children, you want to get up every morning, because you don't have a choice, first of all, because you brought them into this world, so you got to take care of them. But many of us want to get up. We want to see our kids succeed. So that's what's called living vicariously through your kids. And then when they start to go and have to find their own purpose, you are not their purpose. My children I am not my children's purpose, right? They may love me, but I am not their purpose. They have to find their own purpose. And when they start to find their own, and I realize, this is when when you find yourself trying to control what your kids are doing, because you're realizing that you've put in your whole purpose into your children, but now they're going out and they're trying to spread their wings and go out and find their own. I hope this is making sense. And I know I said I was going to get into this, but I felt this topic was so important for me today. And it was so important for us to talk about, because It's time. It's time that we start pulling away from being in everyone else's purpose, and it's okay to help people find their purpose, but find yours first. All right. So let's read what she says. She says, I turned, and I'm going to call her Lisa. Lisa says, I turned 40 in 2 months. I've been feeling a little bit lost for at least a year now. Like my previous varied hobbies are no longer interesting. Climbing, knitting, video games. Oh, excuse me, etc. Life was chaotic with some major home remodeling, me finishing grad school, and then we got a puppy. Now things are settling into a more reliable routine, but there's nothing that is a spark. What did I say? How much of these things do you think like she's doing for the household, for somebody else? Why does she have a puppy? Did somebody else want a puppy, or did she really want a puppy? I'm just saying, nothing wrong with having a puppy. I think, we should all have animals, but we need to understand why we're doing these things. And if those things are not putting that spark into our life, we need to be realizing that too. And she's starting to realize that. I have a husband and a teen who are great, and we all like each other, but everyone is busy with their own stuff, so our time together feels sparse. Okay, I gotta stop here and say something, right? So she's feeling lonely, right? Because she has a teenager now. The teenagers start to go do their own things. Her husband's probably figuring out he needs to do his own thing. And she's like, when are we going to do things together? And we can't count on other people to bring us that spark. See, because when you go and you enjoy that spark with that person for like that hour, right? It might work for an hour, but that's not what's going to make you want to get up the next day, right? Because that person is going to focus for that hour and give you that time. But then after that, they're moving on to what it is that brings them the spark. And it could be that you bring the spark out of each other, but you still have to have your own hobbies. You cannot count on it. It's too overwhelming to be the person that has to be the spark for somebody else. Even though you can really support each other, love each other, and you can sort of still be the spark, but you can't be the end all of be all. Like, we have to find the spark from within. All right. So Lisa says, I'm not sure what makes me myself anymore. I feel simultaneously so busy and so bored. Exactly, because she's doing things for everybody else, probably. I'm just guessing here because I've been there. I feel simultaneously so busy and so bored. Evening and weekends are both a flurry of taking care of all the things, but then also just doom scrolling until it's an acceptable time to go to bed. Is this a common experience around this age? I feel like I'm in the best mental state I've ever been in. No anxiety, no irrational sads. How do I find myself again? I guess you got to find that spark. You got to find that thing that makes you want to get up. What do you want to learn? We stop educating ourselves and we stop learning, we stop growing. And doom scrolling can happen so quickly. I mean, I'm here on social media and I can tell you that sometimes I get caught up in it. The best thing I did though was to have this channel so that many times my scrolling is purposeful, right? I find that I'm more likely to be scrolling because I'm looking for content. I'm looking for something that I want to talk to you about. I'm looking for something to learn. I'm looking for something to make my life better. I have a purpose. I have a goal that I'm working towards for the next 5 years. And sometimes the scrolling that I'm doing is about that, learning something that's going to help me get me to that goal. And I think that's the part many of us ladies are missing, because we think, yes, we do the things, we clean up the house, right? Like you do, like she said, she does all the things on the weekend, but then she's just waiting to go to bed every night. You know, when you're in your purpose and you find that thing that you love, you are no longer going to be doing that, because what's going to happen is at the end of the night, when it's time to go to bed, you're going to be thinking, oh my gosh, I did not have enough time to find and get all the information. I wish I had more time, because I really wanted to finish that course and learn that lesson that I started going through, so that I can do that thing and get to my purpose a lot quicker. Yeah. When you're in your purpose, when you have that spark, that's when you know that you are there, because you don't, the time is really escaping you. Like you just don't have enough time in the day to do all the things that you want to do. And that doesn't mean that you stop taking care of your family or your house. But I think I mentioned in another video, sometimes that means that, you know, yes, we have chores that need to be done. Maybe you need to hire somebody to come do those chores for you. Like whether it's like cleaning the kitchen, cleaning the house once a week or twice a week, every 2 weeks, whatever. So that you can be more focused on you, taking that downtime to sit with your thoughts, right? And not always needing somebody else to be in your thoughts, or in your energy, so that you can feel good. Do you feel good when you're alone? Right? And when I say, do you feel good when you're alone, I don't mean that you don't want your spouse or your kids around. Yes, you want them around, but how do you feel if you take like 30 minutes and you just like close the door? You know, many of us at some point when we hit 40 and you're starting to feel this way, like you can't find yourself, it's like, yeah, because everybody else is in your energy and you're doing all the things for them. Find out, what do you need for you? That could mean like going to get your nails done, 30 minutes. Do you know the lady, when I go to get my nails done, I fall asleep. Like, I'm like, this is so relaxing. I am out. Like, and she's like, wow. And I said, no, I savor that time. It's my time. Sometimes when I'm sitting there, I'm meditating and I'm thinking about, you know, I may be thinking about what's next, right? Like what's next for me? How's that project going? Is there anything I need to revamp? Like, this is a time for me to be personally in my thoughts, to hear myself, not looking for outside input about what I should do. And I think that's part of it. Like, you know, you stop at this point, you have to stop looking for the outside input about what you should do, and stop worrying about whether people are going to be happy about what you want to do. Are you taking time away? Are you cooking dinner? I mean, you have teenagers and an adult husband. They can cook dinner 1 or 2 days a week or 3 days a week. They can do it, right? And so you have to, you know, getting up every morning and just being in someone else's purpose is not going to do it. You know, your husband may have goals. Your kids may have goals that they're working towards, right? Maybe your husband's goal is to, you know, buy a Maserati, and he's like working hard for that, right? And you're thinking to yourself, well, how about me? Right? Well, how about you? What are you working towards? Because what I think happens is when you start to really have a goal in something that your spouse sees you getting up every morning for, you know what happens? They start to invest in you also. They want to invest in you. They want to see you happy. But they can't take on it's not their job to take on the chore of making you happy. And I'm going to read some answers to this, but there was another lady, and her name, I'm going to call her Marie. Marie says, I'm 40. I want to read her. She says, I'm 40 and I'm lost in life. And this was like back to back. And I'm like, wow, you know, because this is really a thing. And, the truth is that we're responsible for not feeling lost. But it's like, how do you find yourself after so long? Refocus your energy on you. I'm 40 and I really don't know what I'm living for anymore. From the outside, things look all right, but internally, I'm meh. Exactly. That's what I said. You may look at other people and think like they're doing great, but they're really not. First, I'm always tired, been worked up, labs, doctor's visits, nothing out of the ordinary. I am in peri and believe I might have ADHD. I hear about hormone replacement therapy, but my body didn't do well with hormones when I was on birth control. By the way, the hormones for birth control and hormone replacement therapy are a lot different. So, do talk if you're tired, you're having perimenopausal symptoms, you should still talk to your doctor. Just because you didn't do well on birth control pills does not mean that you may not do well with hormone replacement therapy. And they have different doses. Your doctors will talk to you, and it can be a life changer for feeling tired, having sleep disturbances, and a whole lot of other symptoms that come with that, like the brain fog can clear up. All right. I'm married. Husband is a good guy, but we've had challenges. Lack of sex on my part. I'm not fun like I used to be. This is absolutely true. We also disagree about money stuff and have never been able to figure it out. We almost divorced last year, but then backtracked. When it became real, I sobbed my eyes out and couldn't eat for 2 weeks. I'm glad we stayed together, but we still have issues. I'm honestly shocked that he's still with me. I have an okay career, stable but not high paying. Have waffled back and forth with returning to school for years, but unable to make a decision. I feel dumb and inadequate. Oh, I'm also tired of the grind of 40 hours a week, rush to get the kids to school, rush to get home for dinner, etc. I'd love to take a sabbatical from work, but then I'd probably also hate myself for doing so. I have kids whom I adore, but feel like just an okay mom. I save for retirement, but doubt I'll ever really retire. Probably just work till I drop dead. I don't even know what makes me happy anymore. I don't like to travel. I seem to be anxious about everything. My happy time seems to be sitting by myself, scrolling my phone. My husband got concert tickets for our favorite musician. When he told me, I barely even reacted. I just didn't have it in me. He looked so disappointed. Does anyone feel the same? Any advice? HRT, hormone replacement therapy. This is so common, right? Like the lack of sex, the symptoms, those symptoms are real. You can go through my channel and see some of the videos I posted about things that happen when you start to go through perimenopause. It's real. The brain fog, the tiredness, so we have to do things, right? And some of that includes exercise. And you could see like lately I've been doing more of that. That brings you back to self, because that's something you can do for yourself that no one else can do for you. And it doesn't have to be a lot. I have a trampoline, for heaven's sake. I have a trampoline. I'm like a kid. Be a kid again. Be a kid again. Find what makes you happy. And if you try something, it doesn't work, try something else. And did you hear all the things she was doing? What did I say at the beginning of this? It's all for someone else. What is she doing for herself? At some point, we stop doing things for ourselves. And it's the little things. It could be like you just take a bath, right? Don't doom scroll unless you're looking to learn something. If you're doom scrolling, look to learn something. Maybe you want to learn something. She's talking about her finances. Look for podcasts on YouTube. There are plenty of people on YouTube that talk about finances, how to invest, what type of investment. Crypto's getting huge out there. And I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not telling you what to do or what to go invest in, or if you need, but like, what is it? Start reading some books, Audible. I started when I started feeling bored like this, you know what I did? I downloaded Audible. I I would go for walks and I would listen to a book, or I would find podcasters. Like I love Tony Robbins. I would put Tony Robbins on for motivation. I would find other motivational speakers to talk, because these are the type of things, because many times, right, you're isolated. When you're doing all these things, you don't have time. You're working full time, 40 hours, taking care of your kids, taking care of your husband, your house. You don't have a lot of time for other people. And many times the people around you, if you have other friends, they're doing the same thing, right? But now you're like, I want more. I want more. Am I going to be able to retire? Then you need to start listening to people, to podcasts, reading books from people who have done it, right? We are the sum of the five people that we hang around with. So if you're looking to elevate, you got to start hanging around people who are already elevated. And yeah, if you're at home, that's going to be hard, but right? Because you're like, well, where am I going to find these people? Books. These people that have elevated, that have gone through what you're going through, people write books and they leave clues about what you need to do. And especially, the one thing I learned early on when I started going through this was that when you have relationship issues, especially, it's time to focus on yourself. And I'm not saying, because many times we think that we need to focus more on the relationship, right? And take our husbands to therapy and take them, if you need to go to therapy, go to therapy. I'm not saying don't. Couples therapy. But a lot of times it seems like these couples therapies ends up like wanting to place blame on one person and the other. What I say is, and I'm not a therapist, but it's what has worked for me, is take accountability for your part in what's happening, and focus on yourself. Focus on finding your hobbies. Focus on finding those things that make you want to get up in the morning. And that could be reading a book. Maybe you'll find you love to read. And so like when you get up in the morning, you can't wait for your husband to leave so you can put your audibles, you can put your headset on or whatever, or put your book on and listen to it while you're getting dressed. And so you could multitask, right? You're going to find that you're going to need net time, is what Tony Robbins calls it. No extra time. So you have no extra time, right? But so how do you net that time? How do you bring that time in? You multitask. I can walk and listen to a podcast. I can you can learn something while you're doing something else, while I'm putting my makeup on, getting dressed in the morning, and making sure that I get up in the morning and I feel good, right? So whether that means like I take a shower or I put on my makeup, and even if no one is going to see me, but do I feel good? Going and doing a workout, start one day at a time, 10 minutes, and it's underrated, but it's talked a lot about, but it's something that we don't do because we always say we don't have time. Well, let me tell you, you don't have time not to, because all the symptoms that Miss Marie and Miss Lisa here have talked about are symptoms that warrant that you need to work out. Working out brings clarity. It's not fun. I have some weeks where I'm like, oh, I just don't have it in me, right? But I get up and I do something, whether it's a trampoline, I go, I lift weights, I watch my diet, right? Especially if you're perimenopausal, you're going to want to make sure you're getting enough protein. There's plenty of conversations online about these things. There are plenty of experts and people online that talk about these things that can help you. And do one thing at a time. And if something doesn't work, keep going. Watch how quick your spouse turns around and is wanting to guide you. Watch how your relationship shifts because you're shifting, not because you wanted the other person to shift. Watch how quick your life feels different, not because somebody else outside of you did anything different, but because you made it different. You had a mindset shift where you were like, okay, I'm not doing everything for everyone else when my cup's not full, right? I have to fill my cup first, and then what's overflowing, I can give to everyone else. All right, everyone. I think you drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you struggle with this. Let me know what you think about, what I've said so far, and if what you're doing about it. I hope for everyone, at this point, I know hormone replacement therapy may not be for everyone, but just like I said, just because you tried birth control pills and it didn't go well with you doesn't mean that hormone replacement therapy in your perimenopausal and menopausal days may not be a great help to get you through these days and these symptoms that you could be having that are causing you to feel like you don't know what you're living for, right? And there's plenty to live for. Many people, including, I think it was Warren Buffett, and you can look it up. Warren Buffett didn't make his millions until he was well over 50. Okay. So just because you don't feel like where you're at, where you want to be at this point, or you don't feel like you feel lost, you're not really lost. You just need to find your purpose. All right. All right. Well, I hope this information helped. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Thank you for joining me on You Can't Handle the Truth. And until next time, you guys stay beautiful, empowered, and inspired. And keep weaving the dream. All right. We're living that dream together. It's amazing. And drop me a comment. And I will see you in the next episode.